You know I love talking midterms and money. Even though President Trump has told us he doesn't like talking about the economy, that makes no sense because it is one of the top issues on voters' minds. It's why so many people voted for him to begin with. And while wages are up, according to a Gallup poll, 64% of voters have not seen an increase in their paycheck. Joining me now, CNBC senior analyst and commentator Ron Insana and CNBC anchor Brian Sullivan. Brian, to you first on markets. Over the last few weeks, as the markets have gone volatile, when the markets go down, the president has blamed voters worried about Democrats winning in the election. He's blamed his Fed chair, Jerome Powell. Then when the markets go back up, he says it's all me, baby. We got the great jobs number on Friday, which really vindicated Jay Powell in raising interest rates. But where does that leave us? Because the truth is, the markets aren't that tied to the president.
No, they're not. In fact, I think presidents throughout history of both parties, Steph, have taken way too much credit for how the stock market is done. I mean, the stock market goes up 75% of the time over the years anyway, so you throw that kind of out. I think listen, if we cook dinner, right, if you don't like it, it's your cooking. If you do like it, it's my cooking. I think people are going to take credit for what they want and discount what they don't like as well. Either way, the stock market has been volatile. Some accused the president of trying to goose the market the other day by suggesting that they were getting close to some kind of a trade deal with China. It didn't last long. The pop certainly didn't last long. I think the market is going to remain flat. Remember, the market, Steph, didn't do anything for about 15 months heading up to the presidential election. I mean, it literally just kind of vacillated in its own range. We're seeing maybe a mini version of that ahead of the midterms tomorrow.
Ron, I would argue that the president not talking about the economy has broadened his base, and here's why. When President Trump was running initially, you didn't see the investor class, the CEO class back him. But he has certainly served them with the massive tax cut and deregulation in the last year. Who he hasn't served is the rest of the country. He has given us the same Obama bifurcated economy we had before. So when he goes to his rallies, he can't possibly talk about jobs and wages and the economy because those people are still hurting. So he goes to them and talks immigration and stokes a culture war. But then quietly, he's broadened his base with investors who are looking at their portfolios, and while they're not going to put a Trump sign in their front lawn, I think they're going to vote for him.
Well, see, I think he's made a tactical mistake in not talking about the economy. Steph, I would disagree with you a little bit here insofar as if you have a 3.7% unemployment rate, wages are beginning to rise. You have more job openings than you have employees in this country.
Why isn't he talking about
well, listen, I have no idea. I think, as you said, he likes to rile his base. He doesn't necessarily like to broaden it. There's a very different approach to politics that this president has undertaken. He likes that visceral response that you get from emotional issues like immigration, like the caravan, all these other things. They're putting commercials up about it. They could be putting commercials up about, and the president likes to say this, the strongest economy in history. It's not, but it's still very, very good. We're running pretty hot when it comes to economic activity. And so I don't know why he doesn't sell this. I would be selling this all day long.
Okay, then Brian, to that exact point, if you'd be selling this economy all day long, why is the president pushing narratives that aren't true? In the last week, he's talking about this middle-class tax cut we're going to see this week. First of all, that's impossible because Congress isn't in session, and it's most likely not possible after because neither the president nor a single Republican has shown a plan to pay for said tax cut. On Friday, suddenly floated out there was, there's negotiations with China on a trade deal. And by 10 a.m., we knew that was a fabrication. So while the president could run on these strong economic numbers, he's out there pushing lies.
I think it's whatever he wants it to believe, and I think that he thinks that he can get these things done, Steph. Whether or not Congress is in session now, perhaps it's down the road or in a couple of months, I have no idea. I do know this. There are many, and you know as well, because I know you've broken stories from this administration, there are high-level people in this administration who have very different opinions and maybe hear very different things that they thought they heard. I mean, maybe you can get a story here and somebody else gets it there, so I think that the leakers out there might have sort of different takes on certain things. But I think going back to the economy, we've got to realize the economy is very good, but to Ron's point, it's not very good everywhere. You've got to play to your base. You got to play for what matters. I mean, if you watch the political ads in central New Jersey, Steph, I don't know when the last time I saw a political ad in New Jersey was. They talk a lot about how independent they are and how they're going to stand up to Trump. And that's the Republican, by the way, Bob Hugin. I mean, they talk about the economy from the Senate side. So there are races that do it. I think it's all just depends on your audience, and the president, whatever you think of him, is a master of knowing his his audience and telling them what they want to hear.
He absolutely is. Ron?
Yeah. Well, what I would say, Steph, is there is one point where there is bifurcation, and you were right to point it out, is the AP says 64% of Americans have not felt the impact of a tax cut. That's because they're financing it. They are paying for the largest corporate tax cut that we've seen in modern times. This is not comprehensive tax reform. Corporate profits doubled as a consequence of the tax cut, but we've seen the share of corporate revenues go down to a historic low.
Stock prices go up because of it.
Well, this was already discounted at the end of 2017 and in January, so the market went up 8% in January. We have moved sideways ever since, and what Wall Street's worried about is peak growth and peak profits. Main Street won't feel that for a while. The stock market's already beginning to discount it, so the president should sell it while he can, because several months from now he might not be able to.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.